Good morning, everybody. Data Pioneer here with the Linux Unix Tech Channel, and today I thought that I would take a little bit of time to look at a new distro that it's new to me. It's not a new distro, but it's new to me, called Linux Lite. And Linux Lite is a distro that's very lightweight, XFCE desktop. It's based on Ubuntu and Debian Linux. And so we'll take a look at Linux Lite here together right after this. Okay, I'm out on my desktop, and I've already downloaded the ISO here for Linux Lite, but I'm up on distrowatch.com taking a look at it, and here it is, Linux Lite. The last update on DistroWatch was November 1st, and so it's pretty recent. It says that the OS type is Linux, that it's based on Debian and Ubuntu LTS long-term service, which I mentioned to you. It originates out of New Zealand. It has the i686 and x86-64 architecture, so it will run on the 32-bit platform as well as 64-bit platform. It does support the XFCE desktop, as I mentioned. But one of the nice features about Linux Lite and why I wanted to take a look at it is it's really designed for beginners. It's a beginner's desktop and it's a beginner's distro. It's really designed to be a distro that a person who is using Windows 10 and wants to move over to Linux probably should go to initially. One I would recommend probably, but I want to take a look at it, and I'll give you my final word at the end. But let's read here what DistroWatch says. It says, Linux Lite is a beginner-friendly Linux distribution based on Ubuntu's long-term support release and featuring the XFCE desktop. Linux Lite primarily targets Windows users, as I mentioned. It aims to provide a complete set of applications to assist users with their everyday computing needs, including a full Office suite, media players, and other essential daily software. Now, right now, according to DistroWatch, you can't always go by this totally, but popularity of this distro is 24, so it is number 24 on the list. The website for the homepage, let's go out there, take a look at it. Here it is. It's linuxliteos.com. I'll put a link to this in the link down below the video. But you can read about Linux Lite here. You can look at some of the features that it has here. The Internet, Multimedia Office, photos, screenshots, security support, and tools. Then there's a download link, support link, feedback. You can donate to the project here, which I highly recommend you do if you enjoy using it. And you've got other things over here off to the side. Now, if you look at the download, this is where I downloaded. If you click on the download link, it'll take you to this download page. And you can get a free download of Linux Lite. It is open source. And the current version of Linux Lite is 5.2, 64-bit. Released on 1st of November 2020. So that's UEFI and Legacy ISO. That's the one I downloaded. Okay. So I clicked on this link right here to download the 5.2 ISO. You can get it in a CD or DVD if you want to do that. So here's a DVD for it. You will have to probably pay for that if you do get that. But you can. It is available. You can do it. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to bring up my program that I'm going to use to launch the virtual machine, and it's a virtual machine manager called VirtMan. And if you're not familiar with VirtMan, I did a previous video, maybe perhaps even more than one video on VirtMan. And so if you want to take a look at that video, I'll put a link to that in the notes down below at the video as well. All right, so let's get into this, and let's load Linux Lite 5.2 into Virtual Machine Manager and get going. Okay, so I'm in Virtual Machine Manager, and let's go ahead and click on the file, new virtual machine, bring that box up. Connection is a QEMU and KVM connection here. And so we're going to use the option Local Install Media ISO, because that's what we're doing here. And so let's click Forward. We're not going to use a CD-ROM. We're going to use an ISO image. And let's browse out to where I have this located. And I do have it located, let's see, should be, here we go. Yeah, it's in this Linux ISO folder 1-1. Here's Linux Lite 5.2 64-bit ISO. It is 1.33 gigabytes in size, so it wouldn't fit on a CD, so it will be a DVD if you get it that way. All right, so let's go ahead and click it, and let's click Choose Volume. And then we get the Create New Virtual Machine, and so we're going to say we've got that loaded now in the location where it's at in our system. We're going to automatically detect the operating system based on install media. It says it's unknown type, but that's okay. Let's click Forward. For memory, I'm going to give this thing the typical 4 gigs of RAM, so that's 4096 RAM here. And 1 CPU, although I could give it more than that. I've got 16 gigs of RAM on this platform that I'm running this VirtMan hypervisor on, but that's okay. I'm just going to give this thing 4. I don't think we'll need any more than that. We probably won't even need 4. This thing could probably run quite well in 2 gigs of RAM because it is running the XFCE desktop. I imagine when we get through this process, we'll see that after install that it's probably using maybe a little over 250, 300 megs only of RAM. Okay, so let's go ahead and forward. We're going to enable storage for the virtual machine. We're going to create a disk image. We're going to create a 20 gigabyte disk image first of all, and that should be fine. Let's go ahead and click Forward. We're ready to begin the installation, but I want to customize the configuration before the install, so I'm going to check that box right there. I'm going to call this thing Linux Lite. Instead of generic, I'm going to call it Linux Lite 5.2. All right. And network selection, virtual network NAT is fine for now. We'll worry about the other later. And so let's click Finish, and that should take us out to the configuration screen. All right, so the overview here looks good. We've got Linux Lite 5.2. It has assigned a UUID to this particular image. It is currently shut off. The title, let's give it a title. Let's call it Linux Lite. So let's just repeat what we have above. 5.2. Description, light version of Linux for beginners. All right, you don't need to do that, but I like to do that so I know what it is. The hypervisor we're using is a KVM hypervisor with an x86-64 architecture. It uses the user bin KVM SPICE emulator. We're running the BIOS firmware, and so let's go ahead and click CPUs. Let's go ahead and apply that first. CPUs, currently we're allocating only 1 to that, and so that's fine. For memory, we're using 4096 megabytes or 4 gigs. For boot options, boot order, we'll just leave that the way it is. IDE disk 1 is here, and storage size it says is unknown, but that's okay. IDE CD-ROM, we don't need anything there. For NIC, we don't need to change anything here. For sound, ICHE 6, let's see, I think that would be fine for now. And the rest of this we don't need to really concern ourselves with here. All right, so let's go back up to overview, and let's begin installation actually. All right, so we're beginning the installation now. It's creating the domain, and it's opening up Linux Lite 5.2. And so let's go ahead and come down to install Linux Lite now. I'm going to go ahead and give this thing a view so we can see this thing at full screen. So let's bring it up to full screen here. All right. So it's starting to do its checksum now and checking out the disk and doing what it needs to do there to confirm that everything looks good before it starts the setup process. So I'm really looking forward to getting into Linux Lite here. I've heard a lot about it. Like I said, I've never used it, but I think that together we'll take a look at it and make our own opinion about Linux Lite. All right, so this being a virtual machine, it may take a little bit longer to do its thing, but we'll give it some time here. Be patient. Here we go. I'm hoping it comes up to the full 1920 by 1080 when we get out of the, finally get through this whole thing. But we'll check that out here in a moment. All right, so still waiting. There we go. All right, here's the installer, and it says as super user. All right, so it says we're at the welcome screen, so we're on English. Let's go ahead and click continue. All right, and so with the keyboard layout, we have the English keyboard, US English here. Let's go ahead and click continue. Download updates while installing Linux. Yes, let's do that. And install third-party software for graphics. This is a it's not on bare metal. It is a virtual machine, so I'm not quite sure that this is really important, but I'll go ahead and click it anyway. If there's any third-party software that I might need for the graphics, that might also improve the 1920 by 1080 resolution issue, but we'll check that out. Not going to hurt. Let's go ahead and click continue. And here we're going to get to the screen where it says installation type. This computer currently has no detected operating system. That's okay. It doesn't always detect it. What would you like to do? Let's erase the disk and install Linux. All right. And so this is, like I said, a VM. It's going to be destroyed after we look at it anyway. No big deal. So let's go ahead and install now. And it says that if we continue, it's going to make this permanent, and that's fine. So let's go ahead and continue that. Detected me just fine. I'm not in New York, but I'm in the East Coast, and so that's good. That's the Eastern Standard Time Zone. Let's click continue. All right. My name is Dan Calloway, and my computer's name, we'll just leave that the way it is. The username, let's make that Data Pioneer, and let's choose a password for Data Pioneer and confirm it. We're not going to log in automatically. We're going to require my password to log in. I don't see any option here to make me super user, but it's installing as super user, so I think that's going to give me sudo rights at the end. Let's click continue. And it started. So it started the process of installing Linux Lite. We're going to let this go, and then I'll come back when we're completed. Okay, I'm back, and the installation is completed. That took probably about 6 minutes, so I'm really surprised that it was such a short period. I was expecting more like 10 or 12 minutes, but it took about 6 minutes to complete, so that's not bad at all. It says the installation is complete, and so let's go ahead and restart now. I'm going to click the restart button and see if we get a full screen resolution. Let's hope. Anyway. And if not, we won't worry about it. I've got it up to full screen. I think it's wide enough that we won't have to worry about that. Let me bring it back up to full screen there. and it should be restarting now. So I don't see any indication that it's here. It comes. All right, and here we go. All right, so doesn't look like full screen, but that doesn't mean it won't change when we get into it after we log in. So we're at the login screen. It says Data Pioneer Standard PC, Friday, 6 November, 10:24 a.m. All right, so let's go ahead and put in the password and log in. Okay, so it doesn't look like we're getting the full screen resolution, which is what I suspected would happen. But that's okay. We'll take a look at that, and we'll see if we can't change that here in a moment. All right, so here it says, Welcome to Linux Lite. We've got this welcome screen here. Off to the left, we've got Start here. We can install updates. It says that's already been done. Install drivers, that's already been completed. Set a restore point, that's already been completed as well. Install Linux support, or language support rather, and that's been done. Got a check mark here. And then select dark or light theme. It's got a check mark there as well, so it looks like it automatically selected the dark theme for me. That's what it looks like anyway. We could change that. In the middle we have support options. We can do online support. There is a help manual. There's forums, hardware database, and the UEFI and secure boot support as well. And then off to the right we have the support here for contributing, for code, for donation, for shop, social media, feedback, etc. So let's go ahead and close this. All right, here's the menu down below, and we've got a panel down below here. So we've got the icon, we've got a menu, we've got looks like Firefox web browser. We'll take a look at that in a moment. We've got the file manager button, XFCE terminal. This is the XFCE desktop, and that's obvious but just looking at it. You've got our workstations here. We have off to the right of that, we have other things going on for volume and connectivity and calendar. So we have a calendar, and this is November 6th, okay, 2020. All right, and so it is 10:26:59 a.m. when I'm doing this video. I'm actually recording this in Simple Screen Recorder. So let's look out on the desktop here. We have the trash icon. We've got the help manual out here. We've got the control panel desktop icon. We'll look at that here in a moment. We've got a network icon, and we've got user files. And then we've got this PC icon. All right, so let's take a look at the menu. If I click on the menu, it opens, and we've got a plethora of things here. So under favorites, we've got install updates and help manual. All right. Recently used, we don't have any. For all applications, we've got the whole list here. We'll go through these one by one. My computer, you've got the file system, the home folder, documents, downloads, music, pictures, public, templates, and video, the standard players that we have available. All right. For settings, we've got About Me, Accessibility, Advanced Network Configuration, Appearance, Bluetooth adapters, Bluetooth manager, color profiles, desktop, disks, display, file manager, settings, iBus, install drivers. Got a whole bunch of stuff. I can't go through all of these guys. There's way too many here. One of the things I want to look at though is display. So let me click on display, and it says that 1024 by 768 is what we have. I don't see, yeah, 1920 by 1080. What do you know? All right, so it is available. The driver is there. 60 hertz refresh rate, no rotation. Let's apply that. And looks like we got full screen. All right, so let's keep this configuration and close. Couldn't be happier, buddy. I'll tell you what, this is good. So for you guys who are moving from Windows into Linux, look how easy this was in a virtual machine. LibVirt Manager. You can install this, of course, on bare metal, and I may do this actually on my desktop or my laptop rather, my older laptop, because I currently have another operating system on it, and I may try Linux Lite because it's very lightweight. Probably would be good for older hardware. I do have an older laptop. Okay, so we've got full screen. I'm really happy about that. We can change the background if we want to, but I kind of like the background the way it is right now. So let's go on. So let's click that menu again. Let's come up to settings and take a look at appearance. And so if we go into appearance, we've got the Adwaita style for icons. We've got Papyrus Adapta. Don't want GNOME. I think we're just going to leave it the way it is, but you do have a fairly good selection here. You can use the Ubuntu Mono Dark if you want to do that. I guess we could change it to Ubuntu Mono Dark and see what happens here. For fonts, we've got the default font and Roboto Regular. I'm going to click that and bump it up to 14. Okay, and select it. The default monospace, that's fine. We are enabling anti-aliasing. And for settings, we've got toolbar icon style, show images on buttons, show images on menus, and then we do not have checked the enable editable accelerator. So this is what you see here is what's out of the box. All right, and so let me scroll down. Window scaling is 100%, and we're going to leave it at that. Looks good to me. Enable event sounds, I want to leave that unchecked, and let's click close. All right, so let's come back to menu and come up to settings again, and let's go over to advanced network configuration. No, that's fine. Bluetooth manager, color profiles. Let's look at disks here. So the hard disk is 21 gigabytes in size, master boot record. Says it's okay, 31 degrees Celsius, 88 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's monitoring the temperature of my, it's a solid state drive actually. So, but this is a virtual machine, so it's actually monitoring the temperature of the virtual machine. Not sure how that works, but all right. So the size here for well, layout rather of partitions. We've got an extended partition, and then we've got a file system within that here, which is partition type FAT32, and then we've got the FAT 32-bit version, and it's mounted at boot EFI. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and close this. Come back to menu and come back up to settings again. Let's go down to let's see, file manager settings, firewall configure. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Drivers, we should have gotten those installed, and I believe it indicated on the welcome screen that those were installed. I'm not going to worry about it. Let's look at Lite software, or Lite storage. Let me put in my password and authenticate and see what we have. Would you like to update software resources now? I'm going to go ahead and say yes. I think they're already up to date, but let's see what we have. Install software or remove. Let's go and click install software and click OK. And I think it may just tell us that everything's installed. Here's what we have currently installed. This is neat. It shows me, well, this isn't what's currently installed. This is what we can install. So let's go ahead and install FileZilla. So I'm going to go ahead and click FileZilla, click install, and it says the following software has been selected, and let's click yes. We do have an important software update. There's 31 updates that need to be done. We'll take a look at that here in a moment, and we'll do that via the terminal. All right, so it says it's successfully completed, and if I click OK, let me come back up here. Okay, and click OK. Let's quit that out altogether. And if we go into the menu now and come up to here to favorites, no, all applications, we should see FileZilla in our list. And there it is, FTP client FileZilla. All right, so it's under FTP client, not under the FileZilla name. All right, let's get back to, there we go. All right, so let's go back to FileZilla. Let's go ahead and launch it and see if it works. Yeah, it's working fine. I can make it up to full screen if I like. All right, so that looks good. All right, so no problem. the version of FileZilla that we're running here. Let's go to Help About. We're running, it looks like version 3.04 here. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's click OK. Close it out. All right, let's get back to menu. Let's go up to All Applications. And let's see if we can get to our web browser. And so Firefox is our web browser, and I don't see it on the Firefox list. Interesting. Not sure why. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Here we go. Got a lot of stuff here. It's got way too much stuff to go through. You can see what we got. Web browser. There we are. So let's click web browser. And let's just see what version of Firefox we have. I'm curious. All right, came right up to the Google. It connected us. We're just fine here. So we are connected just fine, looks like. And so if I go to Help and About Firefox, looks like we're running Firefox 82.0 64-bit from Mozilla Canonical 1.0. So this is the, looks like probably the latest version here. It's not the ASR version, but it is the non-ESR, which is extended support release. This is the regular release, 82.0. So it looks like it's fine. Looks like that we have made it successfully. Let me go out to our favorite website. datapioneer-network.org, the world's favorite website here, and that's my website, DP Network. Looks like it's rendering it just fine. If I click blog, it's taking me out to the blog articles. Looks like it's wonderful. Not a problem. I'm partial to Brave, and I'm sure we could probably get Brave on here, but I'm not going to do that. Let's go ahead and close the browser out and close tabs. All right, so let's go back to menu. What else do we have here? So under My Computer, I already talked about that. For settings, I looked at a lot of those. Accessories, we've got the Application Finder, Archive Manager, Backups, and I'm curious as to what we have for accessories. Let's look and see what we have for backups. All right, so I'm not quite sure which backup application this is. It could be rsync. It definitely isn't TimeShift. All right, so let's go ahead and click out of that. I'll do that later. Let's go back up to accessories and see what else we have. We have calculator, file search, we have fonts, we have screenshot, and text editor. What simple text editor do we have? Looks like mousepad. All right, and it's mousepad version 0.4.2. Okay, not bad. All right, let's click that, expand it, and then let's go ahead and close it. Let's come back to graphics. What do we have here? We have document scanner, image editor. Looks like it is. I keep moving off of that. All right, image editor. Let's see what version of GIMP we have. 2.10. Wonderful. So we have the latest version here, guys, of GIMP. This is my favorite image manipulation program, although I'm kind of getting partial to Krita now that I'm learning it. But I've used GIMP for so many years that I rely on GIMP a lot for my daily workflow. All right, so let's go back to menu here. Let's go back up to graphics, see what else we have. We have Paint, Image Editor. We looked at that. We have Photo Manager. So what Photo Manager do we have here? Shotwell. All right, so let's click OK. And Shotwell, what version do we have of that? Let's come down and see. This is 0.30.10. Chelly, Photo Manager. All right, looks good. All right, so let's close that out. Let's come back to menu again. And Internet, we have the mail client, which looks like, here we go. Let's open it up. And I don't use a mail client. I use the web. So it's the Thunderbird. I don't want to set up one of my applications, my accounts rather. So I'm going to just go and close this out. But it does have Thunderbird, supports Thunderbird, and that's fine. As I said, I don't use a mail client. I use web-based mail, Proton Mail. Network connections here. Let's take a look at that. We have a wired connection. Yes, we do. All right, let's go back again to internet and support, web browser, FTP client, multimedia. We've got CD, DVD burner, media player, and volume control. The media player looks like VLC media player. It is. So that's very good. VLC media player is my de facto media player in just about every Linux distro I've ever tried. In fact, it's even my de facto in Windows. I do use Windows occasionally. Office, got word processor, presentation, spreadsheet. Looks like LibreOffice. So let's open it and see what we got. It does look like, yeah, LibreOffice. And so let's click OK. And let's look at the version we have. And about LibreOffice. And so it looks like we have version 6.4.6.2, build 1.6.4.6 dash, and then the rest of it. So that looks like one of the latest, if not the latest version of LibreOffice. So we're getting a lot of the cutting edge out of the box here for Linux Lite, and everything seems to be moving along pretty swiftly. Very smooth operation, nothing's jittering. Everything seems to be running along just fine. So let me close that. So I'm happy with it so far. So we do have the Office Suite. We have the PDF viewer. What is the PDF viewer? Is it Ocular? Or what do we have? Can't tell what this is. Let's go ahead and open that. And it's not Ocular, so I can't tell what we have. It's this open document, I guess, is maybe that's the name of it. I'm not familiar with that one. I use Ocular a lot. All right, so I think we looked at pretty much everything that we have available here and from the menu except for System. So from System, we have Package Manager. Let's take a look at that. And so I'll need to put in my password. And so this is the Synaptic Package Manager. Not everybody likes Synaptic. I like it because I can control things like my, I can look at my repositories as well and add to and take away from here. As where there's live patching as well here. This is based on Debian Linux, and it's also based on Ubuntu long-term support, probably 1804, but maybe even 2004. I'm not quite sure about that. So let's close that and let's get out of this. All right, let's go back up, and for System here we've got partition drives, printers. Go back. I keep going off of this. Printers, process viewer, system information. Let's take a look at that. That may answer my question here. Gives you all the information about your computer, your devices, your environment, your users, PCI devices, your battery, everything that you would ever need to know about. IP connections, benchmarks. You can even do benchmarking as well. Very, very nice. Information here. You can generate a report, it looks like. I'm not going to do that right now because that takes time. You can view various things, computer summaries, devices, all that kind of stuff. You can look at hard info, which looks at your hardware, and you can even open up various modules as well. So let's close that out now. All right, and let's get back to System. And so it looks like you've got the terminal emulator, and that's what I really want to get to. So let's go ahead and do that terminal emulator here. Bring that up. And didn't mean to crunch that, so let me go ahead and grab it, bring that down. And let's see if I can get the bump it up here. All right, so I'll bump it up a little bit so you can see. And in fact, let's scrape it out to there. Okay, so let's do a sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade, or let's do a dist upgrade, and put a Y switch on it so we don't get questioned. And let's put in my password, let it start. Okay, so it's starting to do its update process. It had 31 updates, so we'll take a look and see how many more we have. to do here. And it shouldn't take very long. One of the first things you want to do when you set up a new Linux distro, regardless of whether it's bare metal or virtual machine, if you're going to keep the virtual machine for a while, is to go ahead and upgrade your distribution to the full updates for security, patches, bug fixes, latest software, that kind of thing. And we're doing that now. We're even doing a distribution upgrade. So if there's a distribution upgrade, that will occur as well. So it's processing the triggers now, and it's at 99%, so it's almost done. So it didn't take very long at all. This is an extremely lightweight distro, guys, and we'll take a look at, see if HTOP is installed here in a moment, and we'll take a look at what we're doing here. So let's clear the screen, see how much memory we're running. HTOP. Yeah, we got HTOP already installed out of the box. I'm going to bring this up to full screen so we can see it. And yeah, so we're only using 594 megs, and you have to remember I'm using a hypervisor, VirtMan, so that's using some memory. Plus I'm using a simple screen recorder software, so that's burning some RAM as well. It's utilizing some RAM. So out of the box, this is not bad. 596 megs out of 4 gigs. Not using any swap. CPU is comfortable at 5.9. It's jumping up and down, but I do have a quad. Well, this is a single. I keep forgetting. This is a VM, so this is a single CPU. So it's not bad at all. 9.9%. All right, so we got 81 tasks, 108 threads. We have one running. The load averages are very good. They're well under 1.0. So at 3.37 at 5 minutes. 1 minute, I mean. 0.46 at 5 minutes and 0.38 at 15 minutes. We've already been up 21 minutes and 59 seconds, so this is a good rendering here. All right, so we see here the processes that are currently running. Everything looks good. So I'm really happy with this. Let me go ahead and close the window. All right, and so let's get back into the terminal again. And let me do a... Let's open this back up, and let me do a bring up the screen again if I can. Let's do a uname a, see what we have. So this is a Linux Data Pioneer standard PC, generic. It says here Ubuntu SMPT, and it doesn't tell us what current level of Ubuntu it is. I don't think. All right, so I'm trying to get it to, let's go up to full screen. See if we can get it to full screen. There we go. It doesn't tell us. It just says Ubuntu. It doesn't say Ubuntu what. All right, so still didn't give us a version here. But it does tell us the date and time, memory usage, which we looked at HTOP. Disk usage, we're only using 6 out of the 20 gigs, 37%. Here's a support link. It's very nice. Let's do a sudo df lh. All right, so here's the structure of the partitions that we have, and it's at 37% here, as you can see, for dev SDA 5. All right, and it does have a boot EFI partition here, dev SDA 1. All right, very good. Let's see if there's another Linux. Oh yeah, IPA, and let's see what our IP address is here. So we're running IP address 192.168.1.122.239/24. All right, very good. All right, so let's go ahead and log out or exit out of the system. Let's see if we can change the background. Create launcher, create URL link, screenshot. I did a right click on this. Applications, I don't see any way, unless I'm just missing it here. Don't see any way to change the background from a right click on the desktop. No. Okay, so let's see. That would probably be under appearance. So if I go to settings and, well, maybe desktop. Let's take a look at that. Yeah. Okay. So settings, desktop. Here we are. Looks like we got a fair amount of wallpaper available. It's nice. I have to take advantage of this. Let's scroll down and see what we have. Got quite a bit we can look at here. This is a zoomed style. We can scale or stretch or tile or whatever we want to do here. The folders backdrops, but we can select our own folder if we want to do that we have. We may have our own wallpapers we want to look at. We can change the background in minutes. For every 10 minutes it will change, or if I click that, we can select it either in minutes or in hours or at startup or every hour, whatever. I'm going to take that off for now. Let's go ahead and change the background to something else. Let's go ahead and change it to this, okay? And close. And so very nice. I like this. I'm liking this distro, guys. Check out Linux Lite. I think you'll like it. We just touched the surface here. User files. Let's double click that and open that up and see what we have. And so this is Thunar file manager 1.8.14. Haven't used Thunar in a while. I use PC Man FM, and I haven't used Thunar. So this is different, but Thunar is I believe the de facto default for the XFCE desktop environment. So that's not a surprise. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments down below. But I do believe Thunar is the default one out of the box. All right, so we've got the standard over here, places. We've got our standard here, folders. Looking good. Control panel. I'm interested in this. Let me double click on the control panel and see what we have. Here we go. Settings. This, if you're coming out of Windows and you're coming into Linux, this would be good because you've got a control panel, which looks not similar to Windows, but it's got a lot of same functionality. You've got your user accounts, about me, appearance, your desktop, file manager, your panel, preferred applications, your screensaver, your Windows Manager tweaks, workspaces, you can control that. For hardware, you've got color profiles, display, HID, PI settings, keyboard, mouse, and touchpad. I don't have a touchpad on here. It is a desktop. Got Power Manager, so if we clicked on Power Manager, you can say when the power button is pressed, you can shut down, you sleep, do nothing, that kind of thing. All right, so let's go back to settings again. For system, you got all of this here: Lite Auto Login, Lite Desktop, Lite Info, Lite Network Shares. Everything's Lite. Lite Software, Sounds, Sources, System Report, Tweaks, Upgrade, Lite Upgrade. So that means you can take and click in on the menu, go to Systems, and I started to say Sessions, Systems. And you can click Lite Upgrade, and you're already at the latest release. That will upgrade your system to the latest release. Very nice. Lite User Manager, Lite Welcome, that's the welcome screen. Lite Widget, Session, and Startup. And you got Bluetooth adapters, firewall configuration, and Settings Editor. All right, so very nice control panel. Network we looked at already, and this PC is the last thing we need to look at. So let's look at this PC. And for this PC, it's got file system. And this is a virtual machine, so we're looking at the QEMU DVD-ROM and the QEMU hard disk. All right. Okay, so, all right, guys, this has been, a system setup and product review of Linux Lite version 5.2. And it is currently 24 in popularity on distrowatch.org or .com rather, and so give it a look. Download it I'll put all the links down below the video, and give it a try. And you might want to even put this on bare metal. I know I am. I'm going to put it on my older laptop and give it a spin. All right, so this has been Data Pioneer with the Linux Unix Tech Channel. If you like my video today, go ahead and click that like button and thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up for the video. That helps my channel, helps my support, lets YouTube know that My website is becoming more popular. I am working toward my 1,000 subscriber mark, so anything that you can do to help me with that would be greatly appreciated. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell off to the right, and that way you'll be notified every time I upload a video. So this has been Data Pioneer with the Linux Unix Tech Channel. You guys have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.